Artifacts. Now, I don't think there's a ton here between artifacts and lands, so this is probably going to be the fastest segment of all the ones we've done. But Arc Splitter. This is one I've seen some people say, like, this card's great. And I'm like, I can't convince myself this card's great at all. Like, it's equipped to do nothing. I mean, it really is. It equips and does nothing until you invest even more mana in it, right? So it's a 2 mana investment to give you the option to spend some number of mana to take down a blocker. You can't even use it when you're blocking, right? You can only use it on their creature when they're blocking. How much am I going to leave open into the attack step, right? Am I attacking and then like, all right, you can't block my... Even then, I'm trying to figure out what do I even put this on, right? Like turn 1, turn 2, I play this, play my thing, equip this on 3, attack. Now you can't block with the 2/2 because I can kill it. And that's also whatever world we're living in where they don't have like shield counters and whatever else. Now, I will say this. This card is very good against shield counters. Because remember, shield counters get removed if you deal damage as well. If shield counters are a very big thing, you could make it to where creatures are still dying. Because you can be like, cool, I'm going to pay 1, deal damage to you. Remove that shield counter. All right, now you die, right? So that's a thing. I'm not saying it's great, but that is the one good use I could find for this card. Otherwise, I'm not that excited about it. I think there's just so many better things we could do. Brass Knuckles, 4 mana. When you cast a spell, copy it. Equipped creature has double strike as long as it has 2 or more equipment attached. Equip for 1. I mean, this is neat to give stuff double strike. It's kind of cool, but it's 4 mana, and I still have to pay to equip it. It's cool that I'm getting multiple copies, but the problem is, unless I pay to put both of them on one thing, I just paid 4 mana for a thing that doesn't really do anything. You know what I mean? You paid 4 mana for an equipment that you still have to pay 2 mana for, and then put both of them on there. And if for some reason one of them gets killed and the other one doesn't, you just paid 5 mana, 6 mana to have nothing. So yeah, not really into this. I like it conceptually that you have to have both halves, and that's kind of cool. But nah. Cement Shoes. This card just takes too much work. 1 colorless, your thing gets a equipped creature has 3/3, beginning of your unstep, tap the creature. Equipped creature doesn't untap during your untap step, equip for 2. Basically, you're going to be spending 2 to 4 mana every turn moving this around so you can keep attacking with something that's +3/+3. Though, I just thought of something with this. You could use this with the Fountain. Because Fountain gets you to untap tapped things. So, as goofy as that is, maybe there's a world where that makes this at least tolerable. I'm assuming the answer is no. Honestly, it's too much damn work when we could just play like a 3 mana or 4 mana, like you could still play like Maul the Skyclaves or something. It's just way better than this. So like we're likely not playing this, but it's a neat idea. Chrome Cat, 3 colorless, 3/2. Chrome Cat enters the battlefield. Scry 1. It's an artifact creature cat. If I need it and limited to as a filler, I'll play it, but I'm probably doing nothing else with this. It's also a very creepy, sad-looking cat. Getaway card, 3 colorless, 4/3, haste. When your getaway card attacks or blocks, return up to 1 target creature that was crewed by this, or crewed this turn to its owner's hand. Crew 1. This has potential. If I'm playing any type of... I was going to say initially like a vehicle deck, but it doesn't really need to be a vehicle deck. Like if I have anything that just has ETB triggers, this is really cool. And think about the number of things like this comes into play, makes treasure. This comes into play, draw a card. This comes into play, destroy an enchantment, whatever. That's pretty sweet. And it has haste, so there's a good chance you're going to play this for 3, tap a creature, attack for 4. And, again, talking about the Fountain, if we want to play it with vehicles, we can tap and untap things, so we could crew vehicles and then untap our things, or untap our vehicles that are still creatures at that point, right? So there's a lot of things. I feel like this is a very tricky card. I don't think it's going to blow the doors off of anything. Cute pun, I guess, since it's a car. Could still be pretty useful. Gilded Pinions, 2 colorless for an equipment. Pinions enters battlefield, creates a treasure token. Pay 2, a creature has flying. This is good in limited play. I'll totally play it. But for constructed, I'm not even going to consider this card. I mean, we have other things that just give flying. We have... I mean, like, this doesn't give any bonus. Flying is nice, but for just flying and the treasure token, I don't know if that's enough. Though, the possibility that it gives treasure maybe skews it to a point where you want to play it in a couple of lists. But I don't think so. Halo Scarab, 2 colorless. Artifact, creature, insect. You're right, it does create 2 artifacts. That is a thing. This also creates, oh, you can pay to exile it from your graveyard, create a treasure token. It's a 2/1 for 2. This is actually another reasonable card for limited. However, if I'm playing something that wants more artifacts, this is also fine. But it's a 2 mana, 2/1, and then from the graveyard I can make a treasure token, which is pretty solid. So, see you later, Great Daff. Thanks for stopping in. But I don't, again, think we're looking for this in Constructed too heavily. Neat card, though. Luxior Giada's Gift. Man, I talked a lot about this on a video already, but it's 1 colorless. It's an equipment. Equip creature gets +1 for each counter on it. Equip permanent isn't a planeswalker, and it has additional. It's not a planeswalker, and it is a creature in addition to its other types. And equip creature gets, or equipped a planeswalker for 1, equip it for 3. The thing about this card is I think everybody's first thought was, oh, it needs to go into this Esper Planeswalkers or whatever. But one of the things I started thinking about is, if you make your Planeswalker susceptible to creature kill, wasn't that just worse? And don't a lot of the Planeswalkers we're playing already make creatures? So would we really want to turn our, I don't know, Planeswalkers into like these 2/2s or 3/3s or whatever sometimes, to just attack with them, but possibly die to like Infernal Grasp? That seems kind of bad, right? One of the benefits of Planeswalkers is that it turns off some of the things your opponents would be playing. Now, I'm not saying, don't load up a Planeswalker and attack for 4 or 5 or whatever. Like, that seems totally reasonable. I just don't know if it's enough to justify it in that regard. So, for me personally, until I see that in action, like, don't get me wrong, it's a good backup plan. But I don't think if that's the thing you're going to be doing as your plan A. Now, I will say, this does cost 3 to equip if you try to play it on a non-planeswalker, so that makes it a little less exciting, but could be good making some of your other creatures +2, +3, +4, depending on what type of counters and how many you have, possibly, if you're playing something that's very counter-heavy. Now, you can also equip vehicles after you've crewed them, because you have to get it onto a creature first. Well, it just says on a permanent. Well, no, because it has to be on a creature still, because it equips a planeswalker or a creature. And then the thing just becomes a creature from then on. So that's fine. But how much do I care? You know what I mean? I think that's the other problem. Like, do I want to spend 3 to turn a vehicle into a creature permanently? I feel like we have a lot of other effects that already do that. So I'm not so sure I want to do it with the Luxior. I think this card's very exciting and it reads very differently and it gets us all excited. But I'm not sure how much that excitement's going to translate. I'm going to wait and see on this one. Ominous Parcel. 1 colorless, pay 2, sack it, search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it in your hand. Or pay 5 and tap it and sack it. It deals 4 damage to target creature. If I play a deck that just wants to play artifacts and search for land, it's fine. And then I get a bonus late game to deal 4 to something. If not, meh. Like, it's probably just fodder for limited play. Is it me or does expansion seem a bit meh compared? This set's totally fine. Like, here's the thing, Dark. I'm going to tell you, like, every set, there's people that go, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. This thing's awful. This set has nothing useful. There's too much of XYZ, whatever the theme of the set is, right? And ultimately, every set gets played and it's fine. Like, that's really it at the end of the day. Luxior's anti-toxtrol tech? I mean, for a creature, sure. Paragon of Modernity, 4 colorless, 2/2, flying angel warrior, artifact creature. Pay 3, it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. If exactly 3 color was spent to cast this, activate this, put a 1/1 counter on it instead. Limited, yes. Constructed, no. There's really not much else to say there. Quick Draw Dagger, 3 colorless, equipment, flash. When a Quick Draw Dagger enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature you control. That creature gains first strike until end of turn. Equip creature gets +1/+1, and you can pay 1 to move it around. I like the idea of just as flash, this thing gets a little like special shank, but no, you're not really looking to play this in Constructed. I'm not even totally sure you're looking to play this in Limited, but it's at least a combat trick for 3 mana. Scuttling Butler, 3 colorless, 4/1. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you control 2 or more multicolor permanents, this gains double strike. I don't think we want to play with this, but it's kind of cool to think about. I mean, a 3 mana 4/1 with double strike. That's probably something. It's like, I don't know. I don't think I want to play this because 1 toughness sucks against a lot of things, but maybe. Suspicious Bookcase, 2 colorless, has Defender. It's a wall, 0/4. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. Definitely limited only. We are not playing this in Constructed. Unlicensed Hearse, 2 mana, vehicle. Tap it, exile up to 2 target cards from a single graveyard. Unlicensed Hearse power and toughness becomes equal to the number of cards exiled with it. I feel like we have enough things that can remove cards from the graveyard that I don't know if we need this. I'm wondering if the idea for this card is to be played against the decks that want to have 5 different mana of various, or 5 different mana costs, and then keep them off certain ones. Which, if so, if that's a big deal, then this actually does that pretty well. But you're playing a vehicle that you're realistically not going to attack with for 3-4 turns after you play it. I don't know how I feel about this. I feel like this is playable, but I feel I'm only going to want it over other things in very specific metagames. So I could see in the first couple of, at least the first week, in the first probably 8 or 10 decks I build, I'm probably not going to play this card. Botanical Plaza. Pretty much all the ones in this line, we're getting into the lands now. All the ones in this thing are just coming to play tapped. You get white or green, but you could pay 4 and sacrifice it to draw a card. These are actually reasonable, especially if you're playing like slower mid-rangey or control decks. Having 4 mana, end of turn, sack it, draw a card. This is actually fine. See you later, Shaylin. So I don't hate these at all. I think these are actually fine. I don't think you're playing these if you're trying to play an aggro deck, because you just don't need lands that always come to play tapped. But the free card is a nice bonus. Broker's Hideout, same thing on this series of cards. You know, you can sacrifice it to go find one of the 3 basics of whatever it is your deck plays. So that's actually pretty good. And randomly, you gain 1 life. Again, I don't know if the heavy aggro decks, want this. I mean, you're putting it on the battlefield tapped. It's cool if you have it turn 1. But after that, But it's not bad. These aren't bad in any way. And gaining a life does matter to several different decks. Cabaret Courtyard, same thing. And then, of course, the 5 of these, what we're calling triomes, because that's how we knew them before. But, yeah, they count for each basic land type. However, they are not basic lands. But they do tap for all 3 colors. And if you don't need them late in the game, you do get to cycle them for 3. And that's actually a big benefit. Having 4 cards in your deck that if you draw them, you know, say after turn 7 or 8, and you're looking for a particular card, getting to dig down for free is actually pretty nice. And bluff potential, right? Because now you can leave another card in hand, let your opponent not know what you're doing, and then if they do or don't do anything, end of turn, cool, let me draw, get a card, and see if I can do something. So, really like these cards. I'm glad we're getting to play with them again. Those are lands. We already covered all those. Same thing with those. This is Rafine's Tower, enters battlefield, tap, cycling, same thing. So yeah, that's basically our cycle of lands here. They all kind of do one of the 3 things. And that's it. Boom. We made it to the end. That was a long ride, but we got there.